So the title of the video is called "So There's a Red Pill Community for Women Now." Dot 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 dot. And it's by the channel OhmeezzyWe. OhmeezzyWe. Go check out the entirety of the video. We're not gonna react to everything. And check out the channel, give them some love. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our channel, show us some love, and help us as we continue to grow. And make sure to like and share with anybody that you think will find this interesting. Also, check out the rest of the content that we have already up on our channel. So with that being said, and Jesus all wet, let's get right into it.
A broke man is a dangerous man, and you have no business dating one.
Look, I'm not becoming one of those types of content creators, but I've seen too many videos in 2025 of women just portraying loser activity. So when I saw this video on Abba and Preach's channel, I knew I had to make my own version of it. And literally, like somebody said in the comment section, there's just a bunch of contradictions on both sides. They don't even realize they are becoming fresh and fit with wigs on.
Back in the olden days, they would see 200 baddies in their whole life. And now it's like they are desensitized to it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll have conversations with my guy friends where I need to check them, where I'm like, you need to check yourself. They'll be like, oh, well, her hair wasn't perfect, or she didn't have like veneers, so I just didn't. And I'm like, you are a 4 at best. Like, this is insane.
Now, I know double standards exist, but literally think about if we saw any male content creator come out and do that exact type of content. Like, literally think about it. Just, let's say 2 men on a podcast based in Miami. Matter of fact, let's put some women around them and they just make those... that already exists. That's the whole red pill community. Male red pill content creators' core beliefs are that men should be high value, women are promiscuous, they're not to be trusted, they're gold diggers, etc., etc. But when you really start paying attention to the women online, or hell, even the ones in person, they are saying the exact same things in reverse. Men don't deserve X, Y, and Z, only high value men get respect. All these same red pill adjacent conversations. And now maybe that woman is just into raising the next fleet of NBA players, but I think that there's a little bit more to it. Myron Gaines literally has a book titled Why Women Deserve Nothing, and he's a bona fide loser pretty much across the internet. But if a woman were to do the same thing, which they are, nobody bats an eye.
Sometimes men will grow to resent you for being the one that was there watching them struggle, for being the one that had to buy their underwear and buy them food. They feel like you've already seen them not looking like the provider.
I think women get this pass on the internet to say the most outrageous things about relationships and dating. The things that can make them seem like honestly goofies if anybody was giving a clear perspective. But the strange phenomenon about this is women will give them praise for saying just outlandish shit. Every time I scroll down the timeline, I see a video like the ones that we've shown, but I'll see a video like this, and then when I go to the comment section, it just has me looking, wow, amazed.
Whenever I've heard a man say, let me see what you look like with no makeup, let me see what you look like without the hair, I feel that that man is telling you that he does not have the money to finance your beauty upkeep. Don't come over here thinking that I'm gonna go to Sephora, get you some makeup. So I need to see you without all that because I want to strip you of all that because I ain't got it. When a man says that to you, he wants to strip you of everything. He doesn't want you to have the thought process of maintaining yourself.
Okay. Thoughts so far about both OhmeezzyWe and all these videos that he's reacting to so far of the red pill women community.
He seems like a chill dude. Some people would call it femcel. That's you know, because it's a female, and you know, incel, femcel. That's what some people would call women incels. And honestly, yeah, these are some of the same talking points that we've heard from guys, except, you know, obvious gender swaps and stuff like that. As far as the makeup thing goes, as someone who's seen how expensive the makeup stuff can be, which is kind of insane, it can get crazy. It can get real crazy. So it's like, in some sense, it's like it can take a lot of like upkeep and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, like I kind of like don't agree with what she said about her point as to like why guys don't want women wearing makeup. But I want to know how you guys feel about it. How do you guys feel?
Finland, you go first.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna be honest. It's starting to sound like one of those just, if you can do it, I can do better. I can do everything better than you kind of things. Cause it's nothing new where there was women upset online because of guys that were going in about like, this type of woman and this and that and going in on that. And so there was women who responded in kind, basically saying kind of the same thing but in reverse. And they're trying to put it as it's some type of new age concept or whatnot, but it really isn't. Like to go into the like even that idea of the whole makeup thing, like that's a bit of a reach to me in my opinion, because for one, that was coming out of a person assuming, as I think there's been other people online who's done that before, where they've just assumed that this is what the man is saying or this is what the woman is saying without actually getting actual clarity. Because she's like, the moment that he's like asked about, like see you without makeup or a wig or whatever, then it's like he doesn't value you, this, it, like that's a bit of a stretch. Like, I think that's a real big reach to go to the sense of value.
I think what she's saying more by what I heard in the video.
Can you replay what she said? Because I just want to be sure.
Whenever I've heard a man say, let me see what you look like with no makeup, let me see what you look like without the hair, I feel that that man is telling you that he does not have the money to finance your beauty upkeep. Don't come over here thinking that I'm gonna go to Sephora get you some makeup. So I need to see you without all that because I want to strip you of all that because I ain't got it. When a man says that to you, he wants to strip you of everything.
See, that's a bit of a reach.
So it's not really much of like how some female, I think most females would be, my value isn't in how I look. This chick is going to, you can't afford to help me maintain that type of beauty standard.
And it's like,
finish what you were saying.
And see, my thing is like, but those beauty standards, and I gotta be honest, I've discussed this not even just with you guys or my own brother, but even with like some females that I know personally, where it's just if those those beauty standards or whatever, you can have those, but then it should be your obligation to fulfill those, where it's like if you want this type of style and this makeup stuff and this and that, then that needs to come out of your stuff. That's your thing. Like to just have that kind of entitlement a little bit, that's just, well, he's not about to say like he wants to take this stuff away from me because he just doesn't, like, he can't finance my upkeep. It's like it was never his upkeep to finance in the first place. And on top of that, why are we seeing upkeep like the concept of a car? We're talking about people. You feel me?
Do you feel him? All right, so for me, I'm gonna try to relate to this because I just got to call it from the thousands of girls that I've been with. Maybe the minute that I see this big red flag, because I know firsthand that there are these type of women out there.
Valid.
But I personally stay away from females like that. If you're looking at me to be constantly maintaining your beauty supplies or anything else, paying for rent or anything like that,
especially when we're just knowing each other,
that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
So for me, I've never honestly dealt with any of that. Like none of the females that I've ever dated has ever like looked towards me like, hey, I need you to buy my weave or buy makeup or buy, pay for my bills or pay for my rent. Never have I ever have to done that. Even, engagements, even more serious relationships, never had to do that. Because for me, an independent woman is always an important thing. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. I've gone hard on guys on the red pill community. So now I gotta be fair and do the same thing for these toxic feminists, females, whatever you want to call them. Because this is an issue that I have when a lot of these females claim that they want equality. Not, at least by what I see, it's not the equality in the sense of, getting, I don't know, the same wages getting treated
Respect.
equally, you know, stuff like that. It's the negatives that toxic masculinity brings. Now we want to reverse it, and it's going to be toxic feminism. And if we're calling it toxic on the men's side, then it should be something that we just try to eliminate or correct completely.
Yeah.
Not flip the tables and now the females get to do it. Something that like what OhmeezzyWe is saying was saying that imagine if you had guys on there talking about the way that a woman looks and discrediting them. Oh, you're a 4. You should be basically settling for whatever the. It's a fucked up way to think like that.
They do have podcasts like that.
Of course they do.
They do.
Because under that.
Okay, but if they do though, it's bad when the guys do it. It's bad when the females do it too.
Exactly, because it's
no
bad. It's bad
either
behavior.
side.
It's just bad behavior, regardless of gender or desire or whatever.
One thing that the internet has to do in 2025 is when somebody slows down their verbiage, they need to stop listening to them. Very rarely are they spitting any sorts of facts. I can almost promise you that it has nothing to do with the upkeep that you have or you having some sort of lavish lifestyle that he can't participate in when you do it. He literally just wants to see what you look like without fucking makeup on. Like, I don't even understand how you can jump to those hurdles in order to come to that conclusion. But the Olympics is in Los Angeles in a couple years. And if you're already ready right now, everybody else just needs to stop and not even compete, because you are going to win if you are jumping to conclusions like this. It almost seems like when I watch videos like that people have things to hide about themselves. I hear videos talking about men don't need to know women's finances. Men don't need to know women's dating history. Men don't need to know what you look like without makeup. Men don't need to know about your family life. Well, damn. Then you get mad when men don't know things about you, and it's because, well, it's none of their business. It's not something that they should know. It's not a means for them to protect themselves, just like it's a means for you to protect yourself, but it's them being judgmental and picky and all these other things. I don't see too many times when people call this sort of conversation out, but this is just as detrimental to dating from a female perspective as it is to a male perspective when you hear Fresh and Fit talk about only having the 304s. Now you're justifying why you should go out into the world doing these things, and it's not leading to any sorts of better results. Hell, has she even ever thought about maybe this man is saying, hey babe, you can also just be comfortable in your own skin around me. You don't always have to wear makeup. So what happens 10, 15 years down the line? Do you continuously wear the makeup all the time? I just don't even think that there's any sort of logic that says, hey, let me be this combative over something so small and insignificant. Now, red pill content for men can breed mistrust and this whole stigma behind dating in women that honestly has men lonelier than ever. And on the flip side of that, it's doing the exact same things for women and nobody says anything.
There is not a single man who actually believes in not all men, because they'll tell their sisters and mothers to be careful, and they'll obsess over controlling their wives and daughters because they know, deep down, they too assume that men are all the same. But to everybody else, it's not all men. So to those men, instead of trying to distance yourself from the problem because you can't get over your bruised male ego, realize that if you refuse to acknowledge the problem by derailing the conversation and invalidating women, you are just as bad.
So I can kind of agree with the part that is a little hypocritical when guys get booty hurt, you know, with the whole all men are the same, because I don't believe that. But then, like what she says, you do get all defensive about your sisters, your daughters, because it does kind of give out like that vibe, especially when we've seen guys say, oh, well, you know how guys think. It is kind of a contradictory to, you know, do you believe that all guys are the same? Now, the other part where she says, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I already forgot what the hell she said. But I don't agree with the second part that she has said. Of saying if you don't acknowledge it, there you go. Of saying that if you don't acknowledge it, you're part of the problem. Now I've said this multiple times in the past that us as men, we do need to hold that side of toxicness accountable within our gender. But on the flip side, I don't see a lot of these females calling out the toxic feminism on their side. And when females do call other females out on that toxicness, they get called pick-me's. I've seen that firsthand with females close to me. When they stand up for men, they get called that, or oh, you're against women, or oh, you know, women are supposed to be united and all that. So it is kind of that double standard. If you guys want men to stand up to other men of their toxicness, then there should be that same feeling on the other side too. Because I feel a lot of these toxic feminism gave rise to what was already existing in the on the men's side, like these guys with this toxic mindset. It gave them way more fuel, and now we see what's happened with the red pill community. We see it with all these different so-called men empowerment communities that seem to have a issue with feminism overall, instead of just saying I have a problem with the toxic side of the feminist movement. Because I think all three of us, we can agree, there's nothing wrong with either one, female or male empowerment. The issue comes with this man hating or female hating, bashing on both sides bullshit that they both sides have.
And see, going a little bit further into that, where that whole lack of accountability, what I've seen on social media, and I can only really speak on like the kind of toxic feminine ones, where they would go online live stream just like, okay, so maybe I'm the problem. I think I'm the problem. Now, on the surface, if you hear that, that sounds like atonement. That sounds like accountability. That sounds like, oh, they're taking, responsibility for them being the problem. But it's not. And the way that it's not is that everything that proceeds after that kind of just derails the whole thing of them being accountable, where they share this experience, whether they was dating somebody, where they were just chatting somebody, or even if they were just out and they saw a guy or something and things did not go the way they wanted to, or something gave them the ick. But then they turn it into that whole just, oh, like maybe I'm the problem. I'm the problem. It's like, that's not accountability. That makes good content for the internet. And it makes good like content for rage bait purpose if you're after that specifically. But then to say that that's actual accountability, it's not, because it's basically saying I kind of see what the issue is, but I'm not really interested in getting into the root of it. It's much easier for me to just like point out the problem, but not actually do something about it to try to change it. That way I can get better results. It's more on the lines of just, I'm telling you up front what the problem is, and yeah, you deal with it, because it's not going anywhere.
As far as like not all men, right? And like in a way, I believe her that you have to be on guard to a certain extent, because I even catch myself doing that too, especially with my younger siblings. Now, when I say younger siblings, I mean like all three of them, the two girls and one boy. And it's like, I understand that, unfortunately, like more often than not, it will be a guy who will put other people in danger for the most part. And it's weird, but like it's unfortunately something that is more true than not. Um and as far as like people being butthurt about like, oh, it's not all men, guys, obviously, but like, it's weird, because it's like I feel like you also have to be careful with that ideology, because you could turn into like a misandrist, and you could end up like hating on like men completely. Like, you see stories of like women being like, I don't like men at all and stuff like that, and then you see it on the opposite side of the spectrum, where the men are like, oh, I don't like women either. It's such a weird dynamic, honestly.
To close out before we continue, I think it's the exposure and the experiences that you have. Because to me, because I've been exposed and I've had negative experiences with both females and men, where like for me with kids, I don't have any younger siblings, so with my nephew, with kids, the way that I see it, I gotta warn them about both sides, because I've seen the toxic men, but I've also seen the toxic females. And it goes even beyond just, like the relationship realm.
It's a
That
people
also
thing.
goes on to like the friendships too. Like, be careful with the type of friends that you have. Could be both male, female, straight, gay, black, white, Hispanic, whatever you want to look at. Atheist, religious. There's crazy and dangerous people you need to be careful, or just, you know, just toxic people you don't want in your life on either side. Because, and we've had this conversation off air too, we can put our energy into focusing on how fucked up our society is right now and all these toxic people online, but what we're just feeding into it, because none of these people are really going to change, because they're stuck to their guns of how toxic they want to be, and especially if they're profiting off of it, or they're getting the attention that they desire. It's just misery loves company, and I'm not willing to give that my company to misery on either side. Because when I hear these guys that are, I don't know how many of these guys with the mindset of all females are the problem have had healthy relationships, and the same thing with women. I don't know how a lot of these women, how many of these women that have this mindset that all men are the same, and that all men are the only problem apparently on the face of the earth. How many of them have had healthy relationships with men?
Usually all of that comes from a place of woundedness from both genders.
No.
It's like, it's if you go through enough like bad shit enough times, you're gonna become paranoid of all that shit.
And don't even open the subject on the, like, don't even open the floor to the subject of those who have yet to take their fair share of responsibility for whatever happened in these bad run-in with relationships and stuff. Because we bicker back and forth as men and women. We bicker back and forth about who's the most responsible. But my rule of thumb with every relationship you get into, like romantic, friendship, business, whatever, when things go south, everybody at the very least take 50% of, like, you know, because you wasn't always perfect yourself either, as I was not either. So it can't just always be, oh, it's them, it's them, it's them, it's them. Somewhere in there, you at least got to claim your 50. Now, we bicker back and forth from there, like, well, I think it should be 51. I think, you know, that, whatever. But as many parties involved in this relationship, whether it's successful or it fails, 50% is your responsibility, and you're just going to have to resolve that part.
I think where we get lost in that is when we're trying to take some sort of accountability, or even that thought creeps into your mind, the defensiveness comes in.
Yep.
Where either you start feeling guilt, or you become defensive, because, so you're saying it's all my fault. And I think accountability is different than, you know, who's at fault.
That is correct.
Because accountability is just, you know, if you made a mistake, or you didn't, maybe you just made the wrong decision. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about what's right and what's wrong,
and how you're going to fix it moving forward. If you're only looking from the angle of just who's right and who's wrong, then you figure that out. Maybe at the best, your prize is vindication, assuming that you're on the right side and they're on the wrong side. But then there's no follow-up after that. There's no, so what are we going to do now? But accountability is different, where you can maneuver past that whole who's right and who's wrong and focus more on what can I do to move forward, even if it's with people or it's by myself. What can I do to improve later? That's what accountability is. It's a follow-up for the good.
Now, on surface level, some of this stuff has good conversation and good intention behind it. There's something to be talked about how people view each other in relationships. But when this person specifically, or other content creators like her, base their whole identity and lifestyle about relationships suck, men only see you as lesser than, you're not equal to a man in his eyes, etc., only pushing the divide further and further between men and women when it comes to dating and relationships, what do we think is the outcome? It looks like relationships are put on the back burner more and more and more, and then people are in their 30s and they get desperate because there's some sort of clock that's ticking. It looks like people don't know how to respect each other based off of the sole fact that they have two different genders than each other. It looks like people will avoid relationships more and more and more because on one end of the spectrum, there are men telling men not to date these women and stack their bread. And then on the other end, there are women telling women don't deal with these men. And so now you have these two opposing forces pulling each other away from each other, only for them to be criticized and chastised later on in their life when they're not dating, when they get finessed because they don't understand how dating works, when they don't have kids and live out a dream and they call them lonely. This shit is weird.
It is not quirky or funny to publicly admit that your emergency contact is your boyfriend or husband who is deeply incompetent and irresponsible. It is wildly concerning to me to see all of the women that are under this sound that are saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, my emergency contact," and he is doing the most outlandish type of behavior. The joke being that he is doing something that's irresponsible and it's supposed to be funny, but then it also translates to him being your emergency contact. And the joke is supposed to be that if he was in an emergency situation, like that's who would be the one to care for you. I don't find those kinds of jokes funny.
Just like in the male red pill space, you have people that are women, literally the opposite of the men, who validate the claims or fears or dreams or fantasies or whatever these things are that the men in this space have. You have the just pearly things. You have the times where Brittany Renner went Muslim. You have any other women who is bashing any other sort of women for having quote unquote promiscuous behavior the whole time they got 3 bodies. I don't know. And all it does is help further the point. It's the whole, I have a black friend and he said that this wasn't wrong, so it's not wrong. In the female space, there is that exact same thing. I promise you, it is a new era of content creators where women are doing the same thing as men, and because they need their pick-me's to also fall in line, you get this male version of a red pill female content creator who's just validating the claims and concerns of these loser women.
There are only 2 types of men. Type number 1, I'll call these guys the self-starters. These are the confident guys. These are the ones who have their stuff going on. They are very independent. They have been alone before. They know what's up. Now, type number 1 is rarer, but these are the guys who will actually, let's say worst case scenario, you guys are together and then break up. They will actually respect your boundaries. Why? Because they already have their own life that they can go right back to. Having said that, this is the type of guy who will move on from you faster. I don't know if that's going to hurt your feelings or not. But type 2 is the guy who thinks he is independent, but in fact has never really experienced anything other than codependency in his relationships. And if and when eventually that relationship breaks up, because it always does with a guy who's codependent, this is the guy who will keep coming back every single time, even if he is the one who broke up with you first. This is why you always hear me or your friends or other women telling you men always come back, because most guys are type 2 masquerading around like they're type 1 and they are just not.
I don't know what either one was talking about. I'm not gonna pretend the girl with the quirky shit that she doesn't find it cute. Both these both these 2, both the girl and the guy. That's an issue that I have too with some of these people. You guys take life way too serious, because they literally look like somebody fucking said something horrible about their mom. Like, the girl, I don't find that funny. I don't find that quirky. Girl, you need to mind your own damn business. I think you're taking other people's lives way too serious. And then this fucking idiot about that there's only 2 types of guys in this world. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? It's where we start labeling people and we're only supposed to fall into certain boxes. And yet it's the same people who will turn around when they feel oppressed or they're against oppression, that they don't want a certain group of people or a certain community to be generalized or put into, certain boxes, but yet they can put others into their boxes. What were you going to say, Jesus?
I was just going to say that the girl was talking about a trend that was happening on TikTok called the emergency contact trend, and she highlighted that I don't think she got the joke, but you are right that she does take life a little bit too seriously. Because the joke is that you're supposed to show your significant other as your emergency contact, but then show them doing something stupid. At least that's the context of the joke.
So it's supposed to be like,
it's supposed to be funny because it's supposed to be ironic. It's supposed to be like, oh, why do you have them as a?
I'm not laughing that it's funny.
That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be ironic humor. Like that's what it is.
I think I get it.
It's just.
But why are we taking this so fucking serious, chick?
Because okay, this is what I was gonna say.
It triggers something.
Yeah, this is what I was gonna say. When you have people on the internet who come from different things and think that different stuff is funny, right? Because we have a melting pot of people with different senses of humor, thinking that different contexts of humor is funny. So obviously you're gonna have situations where, in this case, she doesn't think that's funny, or as a matter of fact, she takes it very, very seriously, when the joke is not supposed to be taken serious at all.
We're just coming out bitter.
Well, that's what I'm about to say. I think she
like I maybe she felt like she was on a high horse because she's like, oh, you know, why are you guys with these guys who are incompetent? You know, how dare you guys have incompetent men as like an emergency contact? You know.
personally, I think she
But
got
again,
triggered, like,
yeah.
because she started saying stuff
Oh yeah.
that was like, that sounds very personal.
It's like the moral police of like the female empowerment movement. Like it's I've seen that. I've seen that firsthand with my significant others, where they might have like a family member, a female friend, I don't know, some random chick, and they quote unquote stand for what female equality or female empowerment is supposed to mean. And I got to call one of the, she subscribed to our channel, uh, someone really close to me who has said that female equality, female empowerment means that you have the choice to define what being a female is to you. And I think that's very powerful because it can even apply to like what it means to be a man. You don't have somebody else, whether or not they're of your gender, to come and define what qualifies you as a man or as a woman. So for this woman over here to be on the internet and I don't find that funny, I don't find that quirky. Okay then, it wasn't meant for you, chick. Chill.
It is just a trend. So
Yeah, this is one of those goofy trends.
What do you guys think about the guy?
And then with the guy, from my understanding, he's talking about two instances of a guy after a breakup, right?
Mm.
And one guy will be fine because, you know, they already have their life apart from the relationship that they can just go back into. And then the second example that he gives is the guy who won't be okay. He'll be very codependent and he'll be very, very sad and he'll try to get back with the girl. Like, even if that guy broke up with the girl. And he talks about how most guys will fall into the second category. They're masquerading that they are okay after a breakup, even though, let's say, 3 months later, they're trying to get back with their ex, or 2 weeks later. I know somebody who is going through this exact situation.
Who?
A friend of mine. So yeah.
I don't find it quirky.
I don't want it quirky. It's actually quite annoying, but you know.
No.
I don't want to say that blanket statement is entirely true, because you know everyone handles a breakup differently.
That's what I was gonna say.
But I do think that it has some truth to it, simply because I've seen it more than once.
Which one are you?
Honestly, I don't have enough information on myself to figure out which fuck I am, which version
but
of
you
that
know
I am.
but you know what? I can take that because at least you're that's self-awareness.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can at least accept that.
Yeah. Like,
what about you?
What do you guys think?
It was a little bit blanket statement for him to kind of say it's just two types of men in this world, and I think the way that he was approaching it was kind of like, you know, I'm going to be the guy to try to put some definitions between this type of, like, these types of men, when it's like, but you probably not even too sure what type of man you are, and now you're trying to be a self-guru telling the rest of the world that there's these two types of men out here, because I'm almost guaranteed you're going to come across somebody that doesn't fit either one of those types, and then there goes your theory.
Do you feel like you fit, like during breakups, you what would be the fitting?
I was gonna ask,
fitted.
I was gonna ask, what about the type of person who, after the breakup, they just go on to another relationship?
He didn't even include that.
Yeah, he forgot about that.
Honestly, I would say that's
so there you go.
Like,
That's
number 3.
That's that third one.
I would say that's second, honestly.
Because he is a little bit accurate. Like,
yeah.
I've had a friend of mine too that he split up with somebody, and then he put it on that he was okay and stuff like that. But then as I kept kind of being with him, the conversations will start swifting to like, oh, I wonder how she is. She's probably think this, and that. And it's like, you're creeping to try to get back with her. And then it only got worse when she went with somebody else.
Which type do you guys think you guys are? Like, if you guys had to pencil yourselves into just those two types.
Oh.
To be, I was about to add a fourth type because it's just like, was I get upset or like hurt by the breakup, depending on how significant it was, absolutely. But I'm not trying to go back to that ex though. But at the same time, I'm not going to try to just be like, oh, it didn't affect me. I'm just super confident. I'm just going to keep moving because I did have my like life and stuff going on. But at the same time, I'm still hurt. So I'm still trying to go through that, like deal with that, while at the same time still moving through what I got going on in life. Another type that he forgot about.
I think we're Mr. Pick Me over here is trying to make it seem like we guys apparently don't evolve as men. I think we're speaking for a specific type of people or men in this case that kind of fit nicely into his two little boxes. But I would say a lot there's also a big portion of men who are working on themselves or just change their personalities, their mindsets, the ways that react or they cope with the breakup. Not mentioning like what you said, Ian, depending on how the relationship went, how the severity or at least how much the relationship mattered, how long, where you are, the type of mindset you're at, your age, like so many different factors that you have to take into effect. Because for me, throughout my life, I feel I have many boxes, not only those two, but the two that you guys pointed out, and even more, depending on where I was in life.
I think we let stuff like this slide for so long because the narrative, and maybe there's some truth behind it in some situations and in some regards, is that women have been victims in relationships. Now, that almost seems a little oxymoronic because at the end of the day, from my perspective, a lot of the times these people are choosing each other. So how can you be the victim in a relationship where the guy is a mama's boy when you knew he was a mama's boy before you got into it? I have no clue. I don't know. I don't know. And no, please don't get into my comment section talking about women being abused or whatever. Like physically, that's not what I'm talking about at all. We condemn that behavior. But the way that we look at Fresh and Fit, the way that we look at Kevin Samuels for some of these other people, the way that people look at any of the other red pill manosphere dating guys who are extreme about dating for the men is the same way that we should look about it for the women. The only reason why we don't, from my perspective, is because there has been this overwhelming majority of people that have felt like women are victims in these relationships that they totally consented to and ultimately just didn't end up well. So then they were able to use their voice and get on the internet and project their feelings onto other people. And they put a fancy bow on it by using 3-syllable words that they probably can't even define. But because it's the new buzzword of the week or whatever the case may be, it justifies their feelings and it makes them seem like they were without any sort of fault in these relationships. The true to God only advice that a lot of people need in relationships is go out there and experience stuff. Put yourself out there. Stop being on social media to figure out how to do things. This stuff will only give you analysis paralysis, and it will take you out of something that you actively need to participate in order to get better in. Learn, fail, learn, succeed, fail, succeed, learn, fail, learn, and then ultimately you will end up with a much better partner than you had before. And maybe one day, hopefully, you'll find your person. But trust me, it won't be because you opt out of dating.
So that's the entirety of that video. But to wrap up our final thoughts, I 100% agree with the brother. He has a lot of points that it's true. And one thing that he pointed out about a lot of these toxic relationships, I think we can also separate abusive from toxic relationships. I think to feel a little bit more comfortable, right? Because it's something that I don't want to touch on the abusive relationships, but for the toxic ones at least, I feel like a lot of these the time when you hear a lot of these women online or in person that are talking about, oh well, these men and these men and these men. What is I always say that to you, Ian. If you see a pattern in your dating life and the only common denominator is you, then you're the problem. If you're the one, forget maybe you're the one attracting them, but you are also the one choosing them. If you're the one choosing the type of men that you're complaining about, it's also what are you looking into? What are you accepting? What are your values, your principles? What are you looking into a relationship? And what are you willing to take and not tolerate in a relationship? And I do feel that it's almost like we have to be very careful when it comes to a female in a toxic relationship that chooses to get into a relationship or remain in a toxic relationship, even though she saw the red flags, or if she saw the red flags from a previous relationship and yet she repeated the same cycle, we have to be very gentle. We have to be very careful when it comes to those relationships. But then when it comes to us guys in toxic relationships, we have to be accountable. We have to man up.
This is the thing that I don't get with people sometimes, is because sometimes people don't understand that what they're seeing is a red flag. Like, another friend of mine, when she was going through the like little odd phase of talking to someone and they were just kind of friends, she saw what his home life looked like, and when she described it to me, it was very dysfunctional. And of course, they ended up dating and stuff like that, and she was miserable. And I asked her, I was like, what did you not understand that what you saw before you guys got together was a bad sign? And she said that she didn't really consider it because she thought, they're out of the house, maybe they'll change their behavior and stuff like that. Unfortunately, they brought that behavior with them. And again, like I understand, like if you guys don't understand that, oh, what you're looking at is a red flag, you know, unfortunately, you may have to go through that experience to understand that that is a red flag, and hopefully you remain like more accountable to yourself in the red flags that you see in people that you would consider to be or want as a significant other.
I agree with what you're saying. I think though the part is, it's why is there that double standard that when it comes to women we have to be careful with holding them accountable, but yeah, with men we tell them man the fuck up. You're the problem. You get me? I'm not saying you're saying that.
No, I meant like mine more so. I know that I used my friend as a girl as an example, but I mean I meant it for both genders because I understand that.
No, but you're a pretty gentle guy. I don't think you're an example of somebody that would be, to be quite honest, it's mostly women. Like if women hear a guy go through a toxic relationship, oh well, be smarter.
He did something.
And if a female is also contributing in the toxicness in a relationship, there's all these excuses. Oh well, she's been hurt before. Oh well, the background that she came from.
Either that or it's validation, saying that she's like a queen, or she's being strong and independent. When it's
they have to accept you for who you are and how you are.
Live your truth.
Like that. Yeah. That's the issue that I have. If we're gonna have the same standards for men when it comes to holding them accountable in toxic relationships, because we should, then it should be the same playing field for women also. Forget, oh well, we don't, because again, if women want equality, sorry for all the stuttering, but if women want equality, then they should be held accountable equally to how we do with men. You got anything else to say, Ian, before we end?
It's really just a piggyback off of what he said, where he was like, you got to get out there and experience this stuff hands-on. Like, yes. Observing it from the lens of social media is dangerous. Like, I mean, I appreciate those who make content to try to balance out the toxicity with something more positive, but at the end of the day, you got to actually go out there and deal with people and stuff like that, because that's the only way you're going to get more refined. I'm not saying you're going to get, like he said, like you try, fail, because that's just how people work. But you kind of need to see some of this stuff up close and in person instead of social media, because unfortunately for us, I mean, social media, people just take everything as content. Even if it's like something that's supposed to be serious, even if it's something that's supposed to be silly, even if it's something that's supposed to be, like this is a real conversation that needs to be had, it's just content. And that might throw off your view on how you see men, how you see women, how you see relationships, and power dynamics, all that stuff. You're going to have to really deal with a person to person kind of thing. And it's sad that that's becoming more foreign, because it's just more easier to just talk to people online and just like kind of go from there, but not actually be in the presence of a person, because that's how you can really truly assess them. So
to wrap up, to the guys listening, if you come across these types of females, don't be rude, but just
run.
Yeah, because if you're in a relationship with someone, and this goes for both men or women, if you're in a relationship with someone and they expect a certain standard of you in order to qualify for their love, their respect, their loyalty, their faithfulness, all of that, then they don't deserve your presence in that relationship, and you deserve better, and you need to get out of that, because you do not, if they accept you for who you are when they start the relationship with you, then they gotta take everything that you come with once you're in that relationship with you. I know that doesn't mean you come with all your flaws and you just remain like that either. But if they're all like, in the cases of what the females were talking about, that they expect you to come with a certain standard in financially, if you're not trying to look for a female that is a gold digger, or a female that will put you down because, I don't know, maybe you're struggling financially to, for whatever reason, pay for their makeup and their weaves or whatever the fuck, that's not the type of women you might want to be looking into. Because then if you do end up with those type of women, I don't want to hear you on the fucking internet complaining and bitching that all women are like that. No, it's the women that you're choosing, and it's the men that you are choosing. So you guys any wrapping thoughts before we wrap it up completely?
No, I got nothing.
My own thing is just toxicity is not cute.
Seriously,
it's not cute. Like the last funny example I can give you, I was literally on Facebook going through the reels, and then it was one girl that was just like, if I'm going out with a man and he driving and he puts his seatbelt on, we ain't talking anymore. I don't want to date that man. What type of real man is going to be wearing a seatbelt? Like, a real man going to just drive straight. And it's like, I don't even have to explain just how crazy that sounds. You don't want to deal with that. You're not going to find love in that.
You'll find the morgue. But anyways, with that being said, check out the entirety of the video. Show the channel some love. Like we said, if you haven't, please subscribe. Share in the comment section respectfully what you guys, whether you agree or disagree. Make sure to like and share. And hope you guys are doing good. And take care, and we'll see you guys next time.